OTAs, mini camps, we're getting toward the end of it, but the best part about this process is every day, it seems, there are more than a handful of players, coaches, etc., who are available to speak to reporters at these sessions. Deebo Samuel, who had a down 2022 season, he addressed that yesterday. Here's the question. Here's his answer from Deebo Samuel at 49ers offseason workouts.
How would you assess your season last year?
Oh, it was awful. It was awful.
Awful.
Yeah.
In what way?
Every aspect. Me and Kyle had a long meeting the other day. We watched tape. We talked about it. We put it behind us, and just going through the tape and just look how sluggish and like how bad it looked on tape. Like I said, just reflecting on last offseason, it kind of played a big role in that. And I never put nothing like that back on tape again.
Did you feel it as the season was going on, or was it not until you went back and watched it?
I was kind of behind the 8 ball a little bit for us, being in my routine that I normally be in for us the offseason, getting ready to play because, like I said, a lot of distractions was going on. But, I kind of felt it, but I was just, trying to will my way to help the team in every aspect possible.
Does it affect what your goals are for this season?
Oh, not at all.
Yeah, a lot of distractions. You know what the distractions were? He wanted out.
Yeah.
At least that was the card he was playing because he couldn't get the contract he wanted. But there was a point where we thought it was done. We thought it was over. Remember the video? They got the sign in the club, and he's doing this. Like, it wasn't –
Right.
He sold it. He sold it. At the end of the day, he stayed, and we were surprised when he stayed. Maybe it's because there wasn't a team out there that was willing to trade for him and pay him, and the 49ers were the only ones that were willing to pay him, but they were expecting him to be 2021 Deebo. He was down significantly in every metric. Now, he missed a few more games than he did. He played 16 in 2021, 13 in the regular season in 2022, but down considerably in receiving yards, yards per catch, way down in yards per catch, like almost 7 yards, down in yards per attempt from 6.2 to 5.5, which 5.5 is still pretty good, but it's not like it was the year before, and he didn't run it as much as he did now that they have Christian McCaffrey.
Right.
So he got that big contract, and last year, and look, I'm always in favor of guys getting paid, but last year it's easy for the 49ers to think we may have given this guy a little bit too much, and I'd love to know the things Kyle Shanahan was saying to him while they were reviewing film to kind of needle him and prod him to really be better prepared for this season.
Oh, well, I'm knowing my friend Kyle Shanahan, and that's why he's so serious, Deebo Samuel there, and that is he, threw it in his face with the tactful, colorful language that I know he can use and say to get through to players, right? Where he's probably like, what the F is this? This isn't you. Let's look at you from the year before. Look at you here running this route. This doesn't look like you here in 2022. That's where Shanahan, and you've heard me say this before, I think is a master communicator. He knows how to talk to the guys and talk in coach terms, but also talk in player terms where they get it and it hits home. And I think, like, Mike, you're on the right track. This is the classic case of, yes, hey, like you always say, we've talked about Aaron Rodgers, the offseason matters for most players. It does. There's a tremendous drop-off. I mean, they got to the NFC Championship and didn't have maybe their best weapon hitting on all cylinders last year like he was the year before. I mean, that's stark as far as the difference in numbers. Yards per reception, that's because he could beat you deep the year before or catch a screen and run 60 yards up the sideline. I think this was one where no offseason, Mike, like you talk about, right? A little out of shape, right? A little overweight maybe. And then because of that, you miss a few more games than you usually miss because, yes, you're not quite in the condition you need to be to play football. And we've met Deebo Samuel many times. And knowing Shanahan and that group out there that we talk about, he's going to have a fire under his ass this year. And I'd say watch out, everybody, in the NFC West for Deebo Samuel this year.
And look, it's not a one-way street. The 49ers created a situation where he ended up being upset. They misplayed it from that standpoint because they ultimately did pay him.
Yeah.
If they had paid him earlier, they avoid all that. They avoid the distraction. They read it the right way. That's what I say all the time. For the players, they go through it once, maybe twice in their lives where they're in a serious football negotiation. The teams are doing it all the time. They need to read player by player. Where can we get away with waiting? Where do we have to be aggressive in pay? How do we avoid problems where guys check out? He checked out. That's really what it came down to. It wasn't a distraction. He checked out.
Yeah, he was like, I'm out of here. I'm not on this team. I'm not putting any effort in. I agree. That's what it seemed like. And you're right, Mike.
And they have responsibility.
Yeah.
They have responsibility in misreading him and letting it get to that point.
Yeah, I hear you there. Now, like, I thinking back about it, and correct me if I'm wrong, it all kind of happened out of nowhere a little later in the process, right? If I remember correctly, too. It wasn't like the start of free agency. It was kind of one of those things, if I remember correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, because it was last year, and, I got a lot of smoke in my brain and might forget some details. But it did seem like it was a little bit after the fact of when you would have heard about it. And by all due accounts, it seems like it really caught the 49ers off guard. So, I don't know. I know everybody thinks, because I'm friends with Kyle Shanahan, I know these details. These are things I don't want to know, and I don't ask him about. So I don't know what they are. But that's, if I remember correctly, kind of how it went down. And that I felt like was a little odd at the time, too.
It happened at some point in April. Pete says April 24th,
right?
The video in the nightclub, but it would happen before.
A little before that, right?
And it may have been as simple as
seeing the other guys sign.
Look at what Devontae Adams
exactly,
got.
Right.
Look at what Tyreek Hill got.
Right.
When am I going to get mine?
Right.
I do more than those guys do. They got me running the football. I'm at greater risk than they are. There are all those issues that popped up when we first became aware of it, and we entered the draft wondering what was going to happen. And between A.J. Brown and Deebo Samuel, we would have said Samuel's more likely to be traded during the draft than A.J. Brown, and Brown was the one who ended up being sent from Tennessee to Philadelphia. So, but still, you got to assess the situation accurately and properly if you're the team, because you want to avoid a situation where you're going to pay him anyway. You better pay him before he checks out on the entire offseason preparation, and then he's going to be useless to you in year one of this new contract that you're paying him.
Yeah.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.